G'day kids, Briggsy here on the coffee run this morning with Brendan Hosking, AFL field umpire. How you going, mate?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Excellent, thank you very much. Welcome back to sunny Queensland. I think the last time you were here, GLT match, mate, it was a lot more humid.
Yeah, it was pretty warm and muggy.
Yep. So how did you finish the game off? Was it all right when it came?
It was pretty tough. I mean, those warm-up games at the start of the year are usually quite hot. Yeah. They take a bit out of you. It was good. We were rotating during the game that day, so we got about 6 or 7 minutes on the bench.
Yep.
To sort of get a good drink, have a breather before we went out there again. So that helps. But obviously now full games, 30, 32 sometimes minutes a quarter.
Yep.
It's a lot of extra running.
I'll try and reduce the times today.
Yeah, that'd be handy actually. No time on.
Exactly. Now, a bit of a veteran in the umpiring stakes, mate. You've been around for over 100 games so far. Would you consider yourself a veteran?
Well, I think the way our list is at the moment, we've got a lot of guys who have got a lot of experience. Upwards of 300 games, and then we've got a lot of guys who are just starting off now and developing and going through, I guess, what I was going through a few years back when they're in and out and probably not getting a regular game as much as they would like. Yeah. But I think now we've got a middle band of umpires who have done sort of around 100, 150 games that are kind of the next slot to push up into that senior role. So when the time comes for these more experienced guys to, when they do retire, will be pushed up into that more seniority role, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. And your pathway through to where you are now, obviously you debuted in 2012, round 3, GWS versus West Coast Eagles there.
Yep.
Pathway prior to that, TAC Cup, a bit of VFL football.
Yeah, so I started umpiring originally in 2003 on the boundary at the Essendon District Footy League.
Yep.
In Melbourne, and then from there eventually went to the VFL in 2009, where I did a year on the development squad there and was lucky enough to do a prelim final in the TAC Cup that year in my first year. Second year I was there, I got elevated to the senior list and did the TAC Cup granny that year, which was a great experience. You know, umpiring some of the really good kids who are now, getting a kick at AFL level and doing really well.
Yeah.
And then the year after that was my third year where I did the VFL Grand Final.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so and then eventually I got the call up to the AFL, and I think the year that I got on I was quite fortunate because they were taking 5. There was quite a lot of spots available, whereas we had a few retirements like Kennedy, Sean Ryan, Michael Vozzo, so that sort of left a bit of a hole, and I think they were willing to take a punt on a young kid coming through, so I was sort of right place, right time, and very thankful for it.
Well, I think you've proven it, mate. Like you say, you've done 100 games, over 100 games now, so I think the punt paid off for them.
Yeah,
essentially.
Actually.
So, no, that's fantastic. So you moved into teaching now. You finished your degree, or you're doing a master's now, you say?
Yeah, so I originally did an undergrad degree of exercise science and sport and rec management, and I went to work in that field for a few years. Found it wasn't really right for me. I've always had the burning desire to go into teaching, and just thought I'd bite the bullet and go into it. So I've completed my first year of my master's last year. Now I've gone into my second year, so I'll be done come October. I'll be a qualified teacher.
So you're looking at primary or secondary?
Secondary, so specialising in PE and health.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Because I spoke to Kate Lushington just recently about primary school, secondary school teaching, and she had a little bit to say about primary school teachers. We worry.
Well, I don't have to deal with the little kids, which is nice, but sometimes the older kids can be a handful as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt at all. Now, tell us, you went over to China last year to do the game of Port Adelaide GWS, Gold Coast, I should say.
Yep.
Over there, went with Matty Nichols.
Yep.
Sam Hay.
Mm-hmm.
How was that, mate?
Yeah,
it was a great experience.
Amazing experience. Not somewhere I'd, choose to holiday straight away.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a different type of destination. But yeah, loved every minute of it. Even the getting over there was a bit of a disaster. We got delayed about 6 hours over in Singapore.
Yeah.
But look, the game itself, it was really, really nice to be a part of. something so big,
Yes.
and something with a lot of eyes on it, and to see how it was all going to go. It was a fantastic opportunity to see a different country as well that I'd never been to.
For sure.
I think the day before the game, we probably walked about 23k seeing the sights, which probably wasn't the greatest preparation, but the game itself was really, really nice to be a part of, and very grateful for that.
What was the crowd like?
Very, very international. A few people flew over for it from both Port and Gold Coast, obviously.
Yep.
But it was good to see a lot of the locals there getting around it, and obviously they pumped it up during the build-up. So we saw a lot of locals there as well as tourists. Yeah.
And you're running today with Brett and who else was it?
Brett and Fish tonight. Yeah.
That's right. So you guys run a bit of a panel, don't you? You essentially, for a couple of weeks, I was talking to Nick Brown the other day up in Cairns, and said that you run, 3 weeks together? Just to get that feel for each other, understanding of how each other work? Yeah,
so the last few years they've tried to introduce a bit more of a team mentality to our umpiring. So whether it's 3, 4 or 5 weeks to start off the year, they've kept us in the same groups. And we're finding that it just, you get that synergy with each other and that consistency and know how each other work and operate as you go along. So last week we were lucky enough to do the season opening game on the Thursday night.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was an amazing experience again. Sure. 90,000 at the G, the loudest I've ever been out there for it. So that was great. And then, we get to sort of work with each other there and think about what we could do better the following week. And then when you're still together, you're always, trying to evolve your umpiring and get better with each other, I guess. So tonight we got a new challenge with Brisbane and Melbourne. We've got a few things that we took out of last week that we can bring into tonight's game. To assist us in our overall result as a team. Yeah,
for sure. Now you talk about teams and so on. You guys all at the top level, and even I guess dropping back to VFL and NEFL, a lot of the umpires know who the players are. You actually sit it there, you call them by their obviously last name, first name, depending on how new they are. Where does that come from? Is that like I said, I met you at the Sunshine Coast, you went and did a bit of training with Hawthorn, sort of training there. Is that sort of relationship get built up through experience, and that's something that the umpires must know, is players' names, regardless of whether they've done their third, fourth game or 300th game? Yeah,
I think it helps no matter how much experience you've got. But at the same time, experience and time in the system does help. You get to learn the players. You get to build up a bit of rapport with them as well, so they know you more than just as an umpire or by face. So like with my example with going away with Hawthorn last year was a great opportunity for me, going into my 6th year as an umpire, to get to know them on a more personal level and not just as an umpire. So that was great. I mean, to build that relationship with the players was really good. As it turned out, I actually didn't do a Hawthorn game all year last year, so it's funny how it works out. But I saw him in the JLT this year, and I think it's just a common process, I guess. As you get more experience, you build up those relationships and the respect as well from the players. But from a names point of view, I think it's important for us to know who's out there, because they respond a lot better to their name rather than their number or mate or anything like that. So when we need to pay a free kick to them, or if they're there's a heated situation, and if we can use their names, it normally settles things down a bit quicker. Yeah, for sure. And you think that's something that could be generated into the community football as well, and particularly in Queensland, it's something that I'm trying to do. Do you reckon that doing a visit to a club would certainly benefit an umpire's relationship with their local club? Yeah, I think as you're a bit of a younger umpire, umpiring men, like I in my position when I was sort of 15, 16 umpiring senior footy, it can be quite daunting thinking that there can be that relationship there between umpire and player, because they are quite older and bigger and things like that. But I think it's only gonna help the umpire. It's only gonna help the team as well. So from a club point of view, it'd be really nice to, I guess, have an umpire come out every now and then and say, give them a bit of a rundown on the rules or whatever it might be, because it's funny how many, how you can get away with things at training from a club point of view that aren't being picked up, and then you come out on match day and the umpires are picking up on whether it's 50-metre penalties or things like that. Whereas if you had the umpires out at your training sessions, that might not happen as much on game day.
Exactly, and you can't get that experience anywhere else other than game day unless you have an umpire actually come and visit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do visits over summer.
You do.
So we'll go out to numerous clubs when they request us out there for their match simulation or training drills and things like that.
Yeah.
And again, it's a great way to build rapport with the players, but it also gives them an idea of how we're going to police things on game day. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to be getting away with something all pre-season because they haven't had umpires out there, and then come round one, it's a bit of a shock to the system when we're pinging them on holding the balls and 50-metre penalties, as I said before. So it's good. It's good for both of us.
The last thing I want to talk to you about, mate, is nickname Hosco. Obviously I'm Briggsy. What is it with Australians? Either chucking an O on or a Y on, or shortening and lengthening? What's the factuation?
I think we're all about just making things easier, although...
Well, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
yours is longer,
Hosco is, it's taken a couple of letters off.
I mean, it's just a common thing. Robbo and Jacko and all of those things.
It's just bizarre.
The Australian slang, mate.
I mean, if you're gonna make a nickname, like at least make it for a particular reason. Like my best man at my wedding, for instance, give me a nickname of Billy. My middle name is Williams, so makes sense.
That does.
At least it's a completely as opposed to chucking an O on the end or something like that. It's quite bizarre. But anyway,
I've been called a lot worse, so it's not too bad.
No doubt, mate. All right, thanks, Hosco, for joining me on the coffee run, mate. All the best for 2018.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.